Now, the East African region is in the process of recovering from the shocks of the worst drought in 40 years. And in Kenya, Uganda and Tanzania, agricultural experts are urging farmers to promote sustainable practices that increase yield but reduce effects on the environment. Citizen TV's Mashirima Kapombe has been on the road in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, and now brings you the first episode of the East African Food Basket.
Arable land in Uganda accounts for 37.8% of the country's landmass. The land is manifestly fertile and teems with both food and cash crops.
In Uganda, we are happy that although we have effects of climate change to some extent, we still have our two growing seasons. So because of that, most of the countries, most of the parts in the country are food secure. But there are some countries, like for example, Karamoja, where you can find the extreme drought.
So you put your leg.
Professor Akileo has taught agriculture in Makerere for 30 years. He says despite challenges in imparting knowledge to improve the agricultural sector, citizens continue to use indigenous knowledge to produce food, while others maximize yields on smaller acreages.
We have a lot of water, plenty of water.
Dr. Emma Naluyima is one such citizen. A veterinarian, she co-founded MST Junior School in Entebbe, which incorporates practical agricultural lessons to the curriculum.
We don't expect every child in our school to become a farmer, but we think if they have this background knowledge about farming, even if they're ministers in agriculture, in health, they'll make sure whatever they do is geared to either policies in farming, policies, for farmers.
Each class in the school tends to a model farm project. The younger learners grow fast-growing crops such as spinach, while the older ones tend to banana stalks. Dr. Naluyima has a 1-acre model farm adjacent to the school. Within the 1 acre, she keeps fish, chicken, cows, pigs, and has farm produce such as matoke, tomatoes, sukuma wiki, spinach, and lettuce. The farm is a practical lesson to the youth to embrace agriculture for food security and business.
I've just had actually some youth here. They were like, okay, now you see we've come to your farm and everything is expensive. Then I asked them, what is expensive here? The small piece of land, the dung, the maggots, the earthworms, because they're so simple and they are there. It's earth. We are playing with the earth. We are playing with the dung. I gave them a simple example in a piece of sukuma wiki, where I grow sukuma wiki, and get what? We ended up only spending 10,000 Uganda shillings on that and earning 21,000 shillings after 3 weeks and every week.
The farm is almost self-sufficient.
Cool, so they're not this active.
She saves on production expenses by producing her own inputs.
Because the more active, the more they lay eggs. So now these are the eggs we pick. We pick eggs from here, and then we introduce them in the poultry dung, pig dung. Then they hatch, and we continue. And also, when it comes to when we do a lot of waste management, still we do a lot of vermiculture, where we play with earthworms. The earthworms eat on the pig dung or the poultry dung, and when they eat on that dung, it turns into humus. Now this humus is what we put in the soil. Now this humus is way richer than any fertilizer you buy on the market. Because the challenge you have is that people literally don't even start. They stay poor, they have this piece of land, they have even all this at their disposal, but they're like, but you say I don't have money to buy the fertilizer. You say I don't have money to do this. We're like, okay, wait a minute, even before you look for the money, can you utilize what you have there at your disposal?
But Unavailability of quality inputs, markets and lack of technical know-how are the main challenges facing farmers in Uganda.
Farmers are kind of orphans, I would say, because one thing about me is that I'm a vet. I've gone to school, so I've been exposed a little bit, so I jog around and then I read anyway. And maybe also I'm in a place where maybe extension workers are if I needed them. Now the challenge, most farmers are in the rural areas.
130 kilometers southwest of Kampala is Masaka city in central Uganda. Kagorodeo is a farmer here with 1 acre of land. The soil in this part of Uganda is not as fertile, and so he uses the dung from his cows to enrich it. Kagoro prepares his manure through indigenous knowledge.
I just visit my friends' farms to see what they do there. So what I see there is what I also come and do.
Most farmers here, like Kagoro, are unable to access synthetic fertilizer because they are expensive. A 50-kilogram bag of NPK is 200,000 Ugandan shillings, equivalent to 8,000 Kenyan shillings. But even if it were cheaper, he would use it with caution.
The reason as to why I've decided to use the cow dung, it's because it takes long in the soil, like in the ground, compared to these other fertilizers that are bought on the shop.
Kalima Mohammed, also a farmer in Masaka, says the indigenous methods they use to produce food are reliable but not efficient all the time, more so when they have to deal with pests.
We use red pepper. We add in ash and water. Sometimes we add in the cow urine. Then you can leave them after at least a week. Then you add in water and you spray. Sometimes there are some resistant diseases whereby you have to apply those artificial herbs.
Professor Akileo concurs with Kalima. Whereas organic farming is encouraged, the tropical nature of East Africa makes pests a nuisance.
The only challenge now that we have is about pests, and diseases, which are now increasing as a result of course, climate change and also to some extent tampering with the environment, that actually require now farmers to apply a lot of pesticides.
On this, stakeholders agree that the presence of extension officers is key.
That each sub-county is supposed to have a graduate, as an extension officer, which is okay. And technically that is how it is. And those are supposed to be helping our farmers. But practically on the ground, the situation may be different.
In vet school, take for example, in my class, we were 48 and graduated 23. And then all of those are not going to go into active vet practice.
To bridge this gap, Professor Akileo says scholars are now targeting the farmer directly.
The department where I belong, we have got short courses which train, for example, processors who are interested in adding value to a particular commodity, say like milk, in processing juice, in processing other products like jam, wine, etc., so that they can now enhance their income.
However, for farmers to feed their nation and make money within and outside the borders, stakeholders call for more stringent interventions in policy.
A significant number of Ugandan smallholder farmers are food secure in the sense that they have something to eat, which takes away the burden from the state.
The East African food basket continues tomorrow as we focus on Robert Kabushenga, a media executive turned large-scale farmer in Namayumba, Uganda.